Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Rachel. So today I want to talk about self-esteem and criticism. So I'm going to start out with this quote by Aristotle, which says, "Criticism is something you can easily avoid by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing." All right, so let's get into it. I am currently reading this book. It's called Self-Esteem, the 4th edition by Matthew McKay, PhD, and Patrick Fanning. So it is a proven program of cognitive techniques for assessing, improving, and maintaining your self-esteem. So in this chapter, this specific chapter discusses how to handle criticism. If you're anything like me, sometimes you don't handle criticism the best. Maybe it really just gets you down. Maybe you just need some tips to really combat criticism that you're getting, okay? So you can either use criticism in a positive way to improve or in a negative way that can lower your self-esteem and cause stress, anger, and even aggression. I've been guilty of this. I have not been the best with criticism over the years, but I am learning to be more open. I'm learning to be easier on myself. I'm learning to really take criticism and see if it's constructive. If it's constructive, of course, finding a way to use it, utilize it, especially with exploring my talents, especially with my YouTube channel, social media. Anytime you put yourself out on the public forum, you need to be open to criticism and not let it ruin you or destruct your self-esteem. So I wanted to share some tips to help you deal with criticism, because anytime you do anything in life, you're going to be faced with it. So I'm going to start with the ineffective ways to deal with criticism, and you might be familiar with some of these ways. So there's an aggressive style. This is the "oh yeah" attitude, and you usually are aggressive and quick with the comeback to criticize the person who criticized you. Passive style. This is the silence or agreement plus co-signing on the criticism, like somebody saying something that's very hurtful and you're just like, "oh yeah, you're right." That's very passive. And then there's passive aggressive style, is when you agree yet passively lash out in other hurtful ways. All these styles are ineffective and cause damage to your self-esteem. So the best way to work with criticism and to handle it moving forward with your life would be step number 1, to acknowledge. Say they are right and paraphrase the criticism so they know that you understood. Thank the critic if appropriate, and explain if you feel necessary. A lot of the times when someone criticizes you, it's unwelcomed information, so don't feel obliged to have to say, "thank you so much for pointing that out." Sometimes it's necessary to, explain yourself. Sometimes it's not. But always acknowledge what they're saying and repeat it back to them. Chew the meat and spit out the bones. So if somebody says something to you and it's useful, acknowledge what they say, even if it's not useful. Still acknowledge what they're saying and find a way to repeat it back to them to let you know that you understood and you heard them. All right. Number 2 would be clouding. This involves a token agreement with a critic. It is used when you feel criticism is neither constructive nor accurate. Example, finding one part of the criticism you can agree with and will look into. You cloud by agreeing in part, probability, or in principle. Now, number 3 is probing. Criticism is usually vague and you cannot tell the intent behind it. You must probe in order to clarify the critic's intent and meaning. Use words like exactly or specifically or for example. Keep your tone inquisitive and non-argumentative because you want further information and not a fight. So I hope that these tips help you dealing with criticism in your future, whether it be with your spouse, whether it be in your work environment, whether it be a creative adventure or your social media page. Criticism is inevitable. As long as you're out here trying and putting yourself on the line, you're going to deal with criticism. So hopefully these tips help you. I appreciate you watching this video. I'm going to be sharing chapters in this book often because I have so many books, and why not share you guys some valuable information. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.